afternoon, and welcome to We Believe Digital News Break. We're glad you're joining us today, 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and nice weather down here in Jackson, Mississippi. We're always grateful for that. Starting to cool down a little bit. No longer in that humid incubator that we were in for about the last three or 4 months, it seemed like. Just sweltering temperatures. So it's finally started to cool off, and we are grateful for that. And broadcasting to you live from downtown Jackson here in the We Believe Digital Studios. Got Dexter on the ones and twos today, and my name is Chris Young. I'll be your host for today. And if it's 2 o'clock, if you pardon the injection of a personal note, I have my youngest daughter going into surgery in about 35 minutes. And she really heavy on my mind. She had slipped on a sidewalk and broke all 3 bones in her left ankle. And so she's having surgery today. And she's got a little one, so it's tough going. My little grandson is a little over 2 years old, trying to make his way to 2.5 years old before too long. So anyway, but my thoughts and prayers are with my daughter today, and I hope she just walks right on through this. I know many listeners, I'm sure, have had surgeries at different times. It's quite an ordeal. I know I've had surgeries twice in my life, and it's an interesting thing when you're in that pre-op, waiting for the magic hour to show up. You get a lot of thoughts running through your mind. I had one foot surgery, just like in a manner of speaking, like my daughter's getting ready to go through. But then I also, years later, had a surgery on my neck. And boy, that was the one that really made me think, because, gosh almighty, they're opening up your neck and working in there. And, one wrong move with those instruments and you could be done. So anyway, but I was at a much older age and came through that very well. So she's at a much younger age, so she'll heal up just great, and sending out the best to her. A lot of things going on. 2 more homicides in Jackson. Really 7 homicides in the last 8 to 9 days in Jackson. It's just hard to get your brain wrapped around that. One of the victims was a 25-year-old who they say was 12 weeks pregnant. It just hurts your heart to think about. And then over in Greenville, Greenville, Mississippi, there was a detective, Maisha Stewart, killed in the line of duty. I believe it was on a Tuesday night, Tuesday late afternoon or Tuesday night. And they had some kind of press conference over there yesterday and talking about the crime and so forth. And she was really hailed as a wonderful woman who had officer who had been serving the city well for many years, had been rapidly moving up through the ranks, and had a wonderful reputation. Died in the line of duty. Don't know the specifics of what all went down, but she did. Sadly, she did. And it's interesting. So much effort is being put in to try to address crime in Jackson. There's people working together in partnerships. I know some people don't think well of it, but over at the fairgrounds, the Mississippi State Fair is going on right now through Sunday. And, the Agriculture Commissioner Gibson, very concerned about crime after the shooting at that Mud Bug Festival back in the late spring, early summer. And so he partnered with every law enforcement you can think of. They've got hot and cold running law enforcement over there at the fair, and some new rules for young people underage, being unsupervised after, I believe it's 9 o'clock at night. And so far there have not been any incidents. So hopefully that holds true, and hopefully this concept of partnering with one another, helping each other out on different events and so forth like that, somehow, hopefully that holds true and can carry on more than just for the fair. We've got these Capitol Police now in Jackson. You've got the Capitol Complex Improvement District. They're responsible for 8.7 square miles of Jackson, leaving about 106 square miles for the Jackson Police Department to cover. They offer a higher starting salary than the Hinds County Sheriffs and the Jackson PD, and so now you got people leaving the Sheriff's Department. Tyree Jones concerned about that, and James Davis, the Chief of Police, concerned. He's got people leaving to go become Capitol policemen because they're getting paid substantially more money. I believe they're starting those guys out at $45,000. Sheriff Jones, I heard say the week before last, he had 3 people leave in 1 week, and they start out at about $29,000 over there. So it's understandable, but it's very unfortunate to to hollow out the ranks of the regular police and sheriffs for this sliver of the Capitol Complex Improvement District. Not sure how all those decisions get made and who makes those decisions, but it's definitely something to be thinking about. We'd invite your comments. Just call us, 1-800-492-5186. We'll be happy to try and answer questions or listen to your concerns, whatever the case is. 1-800-492-5186. And on that crime-related note, earlier this morning, there was a hearing over at the Capitol by, I believe it's called the Judiciary B Committee, and the chair, everybody knows the mayor of Jackson, Mayor Lumumba, has been ill. He's had laryngitis. He could not attend the last city council meeting, and so anyway, he was not present at this a judiciary meeting designed to speak about a crime today. And lo and behold, the white Republican chair of the committee issued a subpoena for the mayor of Jackson to come before the committee to talk about crime. Wow. So does that mean that, that other folks that are ill also get subpoenas? I have to wonder that. I mean, I know there's congressmen and senators, members of the House, representatives and senators over at the Capitol that are not present on days when there's voting going on, or when their committees are meeting. They get ill. So I guess they get an excused absence, but if you're the mayor of Jackson, with a multi-pronged crises going on, and you're ill and can't speak with laryngitis, you get a subpoena. So what type of message that sends, and is that a fair and equitable way to go about things? I just don't know. But at that Capitol, all kinds of things go on. So it certainly caught my eye, and just wanted to make sure that our listeners are aware of that. It seems to me, and of course I've only been down here now 19 months, in my 19th month of moving down south specifically to come here to Jackson, and boy, the things you see, it's just it would make a reasonable person to think that a lot of these lawmakers, and it seemed like they all claim to be Christians too, it seemed like they don't care about this city of Jackson. It just seemed like, they want to blame things on poor management in Jackson, and yet they starve the city of investment. You have a city that has a population over over 80% a black population. Jackson is a black city, and yet, do you see things happening to foster black advancement and black economics? Do you see any black economic engines rising up in the city of Jackson? If you do, help me out with that, because I haven't seen it. I see plenty of small business. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of small business, plenty of black-centric small business, but that doesn't mean an economic engine where people have, full-time jobs and benefits and can raise their family and, maybe have a shot at taking a vacation every other year or something like that with their family. You just don't see that. But you sure see it for other businesses. And the disparity in the contracting is just horrendous. At the state level, a very small percentage, single digits. I don't know now, is it 2% or 5% or 7%, but in the single digits for contracting the work that goes on in the state of Mississippi, African-American contractors get contracts in the amount of the single digits. And yet, African-Americans make up over 40%, or right at about 40% of the population of this state. And can you imagine only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% of the contracts go to African-American firms? So you see what I mean? There's a disinvestment. Whenever there's construction work going on around the Capitol building, or at the governor's mansion, I'm always over there reading the names off the trucks, and then I grab the Google machine and look up the names, and these are all white companies, and typically they're all from outside the city limits, Hattiesburg, Flora, and other areas. But somehow or another, they win out these contracts, and they're all white companies. And it's just it's an interesting dynamic all the white companies win the vast majority of contracts, not only at the state level, where the 40% population is black, but also at the city level, where there's 80% of the contracts are black. I remember being at an economic summit last December out at New Horizon on the Hill, and they were proposing, and the council member Ashby Foote, who he's a Republican. He's been elected by the city council to be their president for this year. But I remember when this Working Together Jackson shared that they want 65% of the contracts in the city of Jackson to go to African-American vendors, African-American contractors. And if you could have seen his face when they announced that, you never seen something so twisted up and bothered in your life. But I saw it with my own eyes. It was something to behold. So, but how could you get all twisted on, I think it's possible that people like that, maybe they just don't see black people. And how can you be an elected official in a grossly predominantly black city and not see black people, let alone be concerned about their welfare? How does that happen? I just don't know. So anyway, we're coming up on a break here. You can give us a call. We come back from the break in just a couple of minutes. I think we're going to get a chance to meet Mason again. And we do have we don't endorse political candidates, but we do have a commercial that we're going to show you. Wendy Wilson White running for a judgeship in Hinds County. And again, we don't endorse any particular candidates, but we're happy that we're a platform for all people. So anyway, we'll take a break, hear some commercials, and then be right back.
Let's read and learn together. Meet Mason. Written by Sherry Tate. Illustrated by David. Mason is a young, inspired learner. Walk with him as he uses his 5 senses to explore the world around him. Your young one can learn to identify shapes, numbers, letters, and more with Meet Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
My name is Wendy Wilson White. I'm a candidate for Hinds County Circuit Court Judge District 2. I was born here and I stayed here. I'm a graduate of Provine High School, Tougaloo College, and Mississippi College School of Law. I've been practicing law here in Jackson and Hinds County since 2001. I have 21 years of trial and courtroom experience, and for the past 8 years, I've been prosecuting crime. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge because I want to redefine justice. We don't deserve to feel unsafe on the streets of Jackson and Hinds County, and you don't deserve to see your families and loved ones killed. We deserve to have a judicial system we can all believe in, and you deserve to have a judge who will hold people accountable. People who live with mental illness deserve fair treatment from our judicial system. We need to educate our children about crime and how they will be held responsible for their actions. We deserve to see our children grow old. They should not be defendants or victims of crime at such early ages. You deserve a judge who is fair and impartial, experienced, and dedicated to the places you and I call home. I want to be the difference our city, county, and court deserve. On November 8th, I need your vote. Please vote Wendy Wilson White, www. Hinds County Circuit Court Judge, District 2.
The Mississippi Link an African-American female-owned newspaper with a trusted voice that is highly respected throughout the city, state, and nation. Our motto, keepers of the knowledge for people who speak the truth since 1993. Significantly influences the thoughts, attitudes, and buying decisions of its readers. Call us at 601-368-8481 for your advertising needs. If you would like to receive a newspaper in the mail each week, our annual subscription is only $52 per year. That is only $1 per week for you to stay informed regarding many stories that you can only get in the Mississippi Link. Sign up today at themississippiLink.com and click on Home Delivery.
Welcome back to Newsbreak at WeBelieveDigital.com. We're glad you're sitting in with us today and talking about some different issues going on. You know, one of the things we just gotta talk about is this trash contract, and you know we've talked about it so many times before, but we have a new wrinkle. We ran out of time on Wednesday. Me and Mr. Garrett wanted to talk about it, but we just ran out of time, and we had another show coming up. We had to move on, but you know, they had a council meeting. You know, the short story with the trash contract. It was a 3 different requests for proposal processes occurred. And the last one, the mayor, as the contract with Waste Management was getting ready to expire, the company, the multinational white-owned Waste Management Corporation was getting ready to expire. And the mayor was really trying to shake loose of them and see what was out there, and 2 different RFPs went by, and it couldn't come to a resolution and so forth. And so the mayor did a blind bidding process on a third RFP. And then when he had the choices narrowed down to 4 different choices between 3 different companies, I believe it was, he brought that to the council. Again, he didn't have to do that, but he did that. And they sort of talked it over between themselves and all, and along with the mayor, and they decided to remove two of the choices, and so that 4 became 2, and then it was the mayor's job to go ahead and make a selection and bring it back to the council. So he did, and it turned out to be Richard's Disposal out of New Orleans, saving the city of Jackson $1.2 million, $100,000 a month, $1.2 million a year in savings, $10 million over the course of the life of the contract. And and the council voted it down twice, and then once it was revealed who the company name was, they voted it down twice, because the name apparently, the way it seems to the average person is, when the name was revealed to not be Waste Management, they voted it down, and it was 4-3 vote. But then later on, you had one of the yes votes shift over to the other side. So then it became 5-2, and it's kind of stayed that way since then. So, but the mayor said, you know what? This other contract is expiring on March 31st. And today's April 1st. We don't have an agreement on what to do. This is an emergency situation. It would further destroy the city to just go days without the trash being picked up. And so he had an executive emergency order in place, and he ordered Richards to go to work to do the job. Boy, oh boy, was it hectic. It was hectic for, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on how you look at it, They didn't have the routes. They had to start from scratch. There was no turnover from the old company. The city didn't even keep records of the routes anymore because, again, Waste Management had the contract for 3 decades or more. So the city had stopped even paying attention to the details of the routes. And so it was rough going at the beginning. But then next thing you know, the complaints started to, lessen. And nowadays, it's a rare day. Now we're into the 7th month, 7 months of Richard's Disposal, picking up trash and doing a fine job of it, employing 70 to 80, can't remember if it was 70 or 80 local Jackson residents as employees. Mr. Richards had said at a press conference last Sunday that I wish I'd have known about. I certainly would have been there. But anyway, providing employment, full-time employment, mostly full-time employment for local employees here, saving the city $100,000 a month. And the city council refused to pay the man. Well, great. So now we're up into month 7, and still no payment has been come forth. And now the city council decided back on the 11th, the city council 3 days ago, the city council decided that, okay, well, we want to find a way to pay Richards, but we also want to find a way to get them to stop working and to get Richards doing the job. So now there's different ways to say that, and it's been said in a lot of different ways. But Councilman Stokes, very smart guy, been around for a long time, been on the council for a long time. He knows a lot about the inner workings of how things go, and he said, well, we never really did finish the RFP process, so we need to finish that. But then you find out afterwards, talking to the city council attorneys and people that talked to them, it was reported that they said, no, we want to bring Richards in here as soon as possible, just like that. So so let's review for a second. No, the city council didn't approve Richards working. That being said, you let the honest man come to work. You let the Jackson workers do the work. You have your people picking up trash. Your trash been picked up. The complaints that they have long been satisfied, and if an occasional complaint comes, it's not like that's not going to happen with any company. But by and large, the job is getting done. It's getting done in accordance with the specs that they agreed to. They've done even more things than they actually agreed to, and they've gone months and months and months now without any form of payment. And now all of a sudden, you're going to say, we'll get them to stop and bring the old guy back in. So it's a real dilemma. I'm trying to keep the time here so we don't go over. So I think I'm about halfway through my second segment. And so how do you make sense of that? I mean, I try to make sense of that, and I struggle with it. It seems, it really would make a person seem like there's got to be more going on in the back room or something that the public doesn't know about. Because what the public does know is that this is an African-American company in Jackson doing work for us month after month after month after month. And it's critical work because we all know what happens when we don't pick up trash for a few. It's not a big deal for day one and not a big deal on day two, but you know what's going to happen when we get into 3 days and 4 days and 5 days and so forth. It's going to be a catastrophe. And so how do you make sense of this decision making? We'd love to hear from you. It's I just can't make sense of. I keep saying to myself, well, there must be more to it. When I look at it, I think, it didn't go through as a perfect process, but the mayor had his back up against the wall. He'd already conceded one time and given Waste Management an additional 6-month contract, but then that was expiring, and there was still no headway. Council had not approved anybody, so he declared an emergency work order and put them to work, and thank goodness he did, because what would have happened? I mean, Waste Management certainly wasn't going to be doing anything without a contract. So how do you make sense of it? I just don't know. As if we don't have enough troubles going on here with crime and poverty and this water crisis. I listened to a medical doctor the other night at the Poor People's Campaign talking about his own personal reaction when he drank water from the tap in a hurry or something that he didn't think through, and that he suffered his throat and his breathing. He suffered as a result of it. I mean, it's not a guarantee in Jackson, Mississippi, that you can turn on your tap and have clean drinking water. It's just not a guarantee. Decades of disinvestment by the state in our infrastructure have brought us to this point. But so we have all these other serious troubles going on, and we need to be fighting over trash. I just don't understand it. But what the public, I mean, the only thing the public can do, the voters can do, is call those council people. Those numbers are listed on their web pages. They got emails posted. They got phone numbers posted. Call them, and if they don't answer the phone, you got to leave a message, and you got to tell them you demand a call back. Demand a call back. Don't let them wiggle out and not be accountable to the very people that put them in office. So they're supposed to be representing us, but right now they're just spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees because they want to be right. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be satisfied? It seems to me like the people of Jackson are satisfied with the service that they're receiving from Richards Disposal. So let's just codify that, lock that up, and so we can move on to other problems and stop spending hundreds of thousands more dollar in legal fees just over crossing the T's and dotting the I's kind of thing. Well, we're up against the final part of the show. We really want to thank you for tuning in. I don't know how many people we've got watching on a middle of the Friday afternoon, but we wanted to bring you a little bit of a news break today. We'll be back again on Tuesday at 1:30 in the afternoon. And, we've got a full-fledged media studio. Is ultimately a full-fledged African-American owned media studio is here. That's our ultimate goal. Every day we come here, that's what we're striving for. And we have many of those components that we just keep ratcheting it up and trying to improve the product and service. We've got political candidates running commercials now, published authors running commercials. We just love to talk to you and see what we can do here, not only through We Believe Digital, but also through the Mississippi Link newspaper, which is celebrating this month its 29th anniversary. African American owned in Jackson, Mississippi, not the oldest paper in Jackson, Mississippi, but certainly a member of the National Newspapers Publishers Association, otherwise known as the Black Press. And between We Believe Digital and different partners that we work with and the Mississippi Link, we can move your product forward. We can move your services forward. And we can support our African-American community as we're doing that. So we thank you for your time and attention. Again, you can call us at any time. If we're tied up, leave us a message. We'll get back to you. The number is 1-800-492-5186. Have a good afternoon and enjoy your weekend. Remember, the fair closes on Sunday if you want to bring the kids over to the fair. The producer told me those ride prices on the weekend are really tough. So bring a couple extra duckies with you and let the kids enjoy the fair, enjoy those rides, and be sure to stay safe out there. We'll see you next week.